All right, let's get to it. Ian Castleberry joining the Wise Guys for our NFL Gold Nuggets feature. We got a lot to get to with Ian joining us on the DC Creasman Jewelers Wise Lines and our NFL Gold Nuggets feature presented by David Creasman and DC Creasman Jewelers. All right, Ian, first things first. Any word on how many teams have reached out to the Texans about Deshaun Watson?
I think it's probably around 4 or 5, but I do wonder if some of the rumblings about what the Texans want in return has scared some teams off. The Houston Chronicle's John McClain reported that what the Texans want, doesn't mean they'll get it, but this reportedly is what they're asking for: 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and 2 young defensive starters. So how many teams are going to be able, let alone willing, to pony up that kind of price for Deshaun Watson? And I know you're big on the Panthers in this sweepstakes here, but I wonder if that's the price that the Panthers just can't pay. No. They do have number 8 this year, 39 in the second round. Now maybe they can offer a little bit more in terms of current players. You know, we've talked about Christian McCaffrey possibly being a part of that deal. Maybe Teddy Bridgewater would be going over there as a quarterback, but 2 young defensive starters. I mean, if I'm the Panthers, I don't want to give up any of their young defensive talent. I mean, I certainly think somebody like Brian Burns or Derek Brown, I would think those 2 are untouchable.
Absolutely.
But is that the caliber of starter that the Panthers would be looking at in return? And if the Panthers make a deal like that, you know, how far does that set back their franchise?
Agreed, Michael. Look, I'd love for the Panthers to get Deshaun Watson, but if what Ian says pans out, that is way too much, and Deshaun Watson's going to be peeved at that team. He's already threatening to sit out the season if he has to, and with what Houston's laying out right now, that I think those chances just improved a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, you can't lose a player like Deshaun Watson, man. It just, I don't know. You got to go talk to him or something or whatever. But it has to be the right situation for Deshaun, and I don't think he want. I mean, I'm sure there'd be a part of him that would like to come home again, into the not being too far from Clemson. But it looks like you go from one rebuilding situation to another. So
that is not what the Houston is asking. I don't know if there's a team crazy enough out there. And granted, that's probably what they're doing. They know that. They know, we're reaching for the stars. If that doesn't fly, okay, well, maybe they'll pull it back a little bit and go from there. We'll have to wait and see on that.
That's
crazy.
That's a
tough
tough time.
Can I just say, I think the 2 teams that could actually fit that criteria are the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins. Both have 2 first-round picks this year. I believe they both have 2 second-round picks. And then, the Dolphins could throw in somebody like Tua Tagovailoa, Shaq Lawson, somebody like that. The Jets would presumably throw in Sam Darnold, somebody like that. So those are the 2 teams I would circle as possibly being able to make that deal if they wanted.
Sure. And by the way, we just heard on top of the hour Fox Sports Update that there are teams that are interested in Carson Wentz, which is a little bit surprising considering the year he just is coming off of and the money that he's still owed, Ian.
Yeah, I would have to look into the contract situation a little bit deeper to see when the guaranteed money would run out. Like I told you on Monday, I initially freaked out about that Matthew Stafford deal because I thought, oh my goodness, the Lions taking on Jared Goff's contract. But then, digging a little deeper, you see, well, it's not too bad after that first year. I don't know if Wentz's deal has similar circumstances, but NFL coaches, maybe football coaches in general, I would love to ask Shoop this question. I think coaches always think they can fix the guy. Mm-hmm. So, they're like, okay, yeah, he had a bad year, but if we get our hands on him, we can fix Carson Wentz. He can be our quarterback.
Augie says that all the time. There's always that one coach that says, I'm the guy that can turn this player's career around. We'll be following this one. I think it's 4 years, $98 million still left on his contract. So we're talking just under $25 million a year.
And getting back to Deshaun Watson, you just have to wonder how much, obviously he's frustrated and stuff, but, how much did James Harden influence Deshaun Watson after what James Harden basically demanded a trade out of Houston and became a disruption? If James Harden was playing for Memphis, would that have carried as much impact with and maybe it would. And like I said, I'm not there.
Or with the NBA being such a players' league, it seems like the players have more, especially someone like Harden, who, by the way, it's not worth the attitude that he brings, quite frankly, with Houston. Win a championship first, then you certainly have more room to move. But that's a really good point, and I just think Watson's just fed up with how this new front office, and really not just the new front office, what was with him before. I think this is frustration that just seems to be building. Yeah. And it's just kind of hit a point where he's just like, really, I want out of here. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen. He, again, reportedly is ready to sit out the season if he has to after signing that huge contract. All right, Ian Castleberry joining the Wise Guys, our NFL Gold Nuggets feature presented by DC Creasman Jewelers. All right, Ian, maybe not the best week for a haircut if you're playing in the Super Bowl in a pandemic. And it looks like Pat Mahomes was in line to get a haircut from a barber that tested positive Sunday for COVID and has a couple of Chiefs players in the protocol.
Yeah, the first thing that came to my mind when I heard this story was that State Farm commercial where all the guys are trying to get the Patrick Mahomes haircut so they can get that Patrick Price. So, a bunch of guys with, the sideshow bob on top, tight on the sides. But a bunch of guys lined up to get haircuts amid COVID-19. Probably not the best idea, but Daniel Kilgore, backup center for the Chiefs, reportedly was mid-haircut when he found out that, and everybody found out that the barber had tested positive for COVID and had to stop the haircut right there, and everybody else who was in line, no haircuts for you. Kilgore had some fun with this. I don't know if you look him up on Twitter, Daniel Kilgore 67. He put up a picture of half of his head with hair, the other half completely bald, which is pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, these are just, it's such an overused phrase, but unprecedented times. I mean, this is not a story or a circumstance we would ever imagine having to deal with, especially during Super Bowl week.
I'm just stunned, Michael. The barber was not following protocols. I mean, salons are open, but they have to follow tight protocols. I know the person I see, Lori, is militant about that. But that's still like, if I'm playing in a Super Bowl, I mean, I know players want to look sharp for the big day. But man, I mean, that's probably something they'd look back on and go, you know what, maybe next time I won't do that.
Yeah, Linda Russo, who cuts Lisa and I's hair, is militant about that too. It's just another weird. We're going to look at back this 5 years from now and like, what? Yeah. Wow, the great haircut caper and stuff. And
I think there's going to be Barbershop 3 with Cedric the Entertainer and Patrick Mahomes starring. I'd love to see that maybe come out there. But man, wow. Just only in the COVID era is this an issue and a story.
It's just. Remarkable times continues.
Ian, let me ask you this, man. What if Mahomes and or Brady tested positive this week, Super Bowl week? Would NFL Players Association President DeMaurice Smith look at another date for the game, or would he hold solid? Hopefully this isn't going to be an issue.
I don't think so, especially this close to the game. I mean, if the NFL and the Players Union were to follow the same protocols and rules, results that happen throughout the season, unless a team was down an entire position group or, they weren't able to field, a complete offense or a complete defense. We saw the Denver Broncos have to play a game. They didn't have a quarterback. They had to play a practice squad wide receiver at quarterback because, the rest of the team was okay. So if COVID, testing positive for COVID or contracting COVID isn't the same as an injury, but, the Chiefs were presumably set to play the AFC title game without Patrick Mahomes because of concussion. So if it was because of COVID, I would imagine, we would see Chad Henne starting at quarterback. I can't even remember who the Tampa Bay Buccaneers backup quarterback is.
I do. It's Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert. We had to look that up.
I wanted to say Blake Bortles, but yeah.
I think he's out west with L.A., I believe, the Rams.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I think, no, they would not delay the game. And I don't know how much say the union would have in it, but again, we're talking about the Super Bowl. I mean, there's so many things in motion about, playing the game, travel arrangements, sponsors, halftime show, all that stuff. Now, I know all of that stuff shouldn't have to affect an actual football game. But I mean, the Super Bowl, as we know, is just an event far beyond a game. And there are so many other pieces to this that pushing the game back, especially this close to the game, I think would just be a monumental undertaking.
Boy, but it's so funny. You just never know. Like if Brady and or Mahomes, like what? Well, obviously, if one player did not get it.
Well, Colin Cowherd wanted the AFC Championship game moved if Mahomes couldn't play. And I knew he was going to play, and I don't, and I'm glad he played it despite the fact that the Bills came in second in that game. But like, really, Colin?
Yeah, no,
really?
Yeah, that's surprising to hear. I mean, at the end of the day, you play the game. Period. I mean, if Tom Brady can't, look, wise up, get responsible, take accountability for Super Bowl week. Don't go get a haircut. Don't go out. Stay local. Stay in.
They should have listened to Floyd Lawson.
Floyd Lawson?
The barber from Andy Griffith.
Oh, okay. Floyd. I got you on that one. Jeez. Going back to old man TV right there. That's like grandpa TV right there. We'll get into that in a moment. Ian Castleberry with the Wise Guys. All right, Ian, let's go. Kansas City wins on Sunday if they
play defense the same way they played against the Buffalo Bills. If their defensive backs are able to absolutely lock onto those Tampa Bay receivers and get a pass rush on Tom Brady. Granted, the Tampa Bay offense has a lot more weapons, especially at receiver and at tight end, than the Bills did. They have a stronger running game. But if the Chiefs are capable of a lockdown defense like that on the Tampa Bay receiving core, I think they have a chance.
And on the flip side, well, Mike, you want to comment on that?
Well, yeah, that was really the untold story of that game against the Bills. Is they really did a great job on Stephon Diggs. He had not been shut down like that all year by anybody. And until the fourth quarter, he caught some passes when the game was pretty much decided and stuff. And I thought Kansas City's red zone defense was really good against Buffalo, too. The Bills got the ball inside the 10-yard line twice and had to settle for field goals. There's some pretty good second-guessing of Sean McDermott about why he didn't go for it on 4th and 3 a couple of times. But they really defensively played really well, and especially the red zone defense. If they do that on Sunday, they'll be in pretty good shape, I think.
All right. Now, Ian, Tampa Bay wins if they
get on top early, which has been a problem for the Chiefs. If they get on top early and then are able to control the clock, possess the ball, keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. Again, the Tampa Bay offense is much more powerful, has many more options than the Bills did. And they're going to be able to get a pass rush on Patrick Mahomes, either from their defensive line or Tampa Bay's linebackers are outstanding. They might have the best linebacking core in the NFL. And I think that will prevent Patrick Mahomes from doing what he does so well, is that even if he doesn't find anybody right away, he can step out of the pocket, roll out a little bit, buy himself some time. I think Tampa Bay is going to be able to control Patrick Mahomes in that regard. And I think their defense is going to be able to not shut down the Chiefs offense. I don't think any defense is capable of doing that, but hang on and keep Mahomes in check.
Yeah, the Chiefs' offense was awesome against Buffalo, against the defense that I thought had really improved. But really, the Chiefs were not stopped the whole day. The only time they got stopped was when they first possession of the game when Hill dropped that 30-yard pass he should have caught there, and that's the only time they had to punt the game. But one thing to watch out for, and this drives me crazy when Mahomes does this. When Mahomes scrambles to the sidelines, it looks like he's going out of bounds, and the defense will let up. And then he tries, and then it's kind of to me, a bush league move by Mahomes and stuff. And I've seen him do that 2 or 3 times this year where he's ready to go out of bounds. It looks like then he changed mind at the last minute. And a game like this, Tampa's got the linebackers to no, you're not going to do that, or you are.
Linebackers are really good.
And he might get hit pretty hard, and he might not be coming back. So watch for that. I just think he's a great quarterback, don't get me wrong, but I hate when he does that, because that's just he's taking, it's one thing to fake when you get hit and try to get a roughing the passer call. All quarterbacks do that and stuff, but sometimes along the sidelines he does that. He gets away with it, and he might not get away with it on Sunday.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's linebacking core is stout for sure. And Ian, I'm guessing here, but it seems like you're leaning towards Tampa Bay to win on Sunday.
Yeah, I probably already tipped that off. I do think Tampa Bay is going to win. I don't think their offense can be stopped right now. I think there are just too many weapons. and their defense, which I think that doesn't get the credit it should, because so much of the attention goes to Tampa Bay. But we talked about their linebacking core and their defensive line. They got Vita Vea back. I think that's going to be a big help, getting that push up the middle against Mahomes. And their secondary is good enough, I think, to control Tyreek Hill. But maybe give up only one big player. But I think between the linebackers and the secondary, they can keep Travis Kelce in check. But maybe I'm hopeful for a really good game. I think it's still going to be close, but I think it's going to be something like 37-33 Tampa Bay.
I'll tell you, Kansas City has been known these last couple of years in the playoffs getting off to a slow start. Ian brought up a really good point, Mike, and this is a team that really Kansas City cannot afford to get off to a slow start. They were able to overcome it in the Super Bowl last year to win. I don't know if that's going to happen this year with Tom Brady and that Tampa defense. That's a big ask for sure.
And like anything in this kind of a game, turnovers. Who turns the ball over.
Yeah,
will be absolutely crucial in this game and stuff. But it's been a magical carpet ride for Tampa. They got the turnovers in New Orleans. New Orleans is about ready to beat them, and then the fumble, and then a couple of interceptions, and then up in Green Bay, they made some big plays defensively. But I think it's going to be a great game, but I think Kansas City wins 31-27.
All right, wow. Look at that. Mike Gore already giving his pick away. Ian Castleberry with the Wise Guys on the DC Creasman Jewelers Wise Lines on their NFL Gold Nuggets feature presented by DC Creasman Jewelers. All right, we can't forget our Mike Gore Bills takeover question because the Bills make me want to shout. All right, here we go. Ian, with Buffalo $8 million over the salary cap, which veterans could be cut loose?
Based on what I was reading when you sent over this question, if I was Mario Addison, I would be very nervous about whether or not I'm going to be on the Buffalo Bills and maybe start looking around elsewhere from a real estate standpoint. But I'm curious to Mike, which players do you think the Bills can least afford to lose while making these salary cap decisions?
I think they really have to keep their defense, and don't forget the Bills had a couple defensive players opt out. I can't recall the ex-Panther that plays for the Bills that opted out. I can't remember.
Lokalele?
Yes, absolutely. And that really hurt them defensively, to be honest with you. But I look for John Brown to be let go because I think they really like Gabriel Davis, the wide receiver they got from Central Florida. And he had a really big year, and Brown was hurt a lot this year, and he has a history of being hurt and stuff. And also possibility Mitch Morse, the center, who was a healthy scratch in some games this year. Also Trent Murphy, a defensive tackle for them that was a key player for them last year, but was a healthy scratch. So look for those three guys to possibly be cut by Buffalo in the offseason. So go from like I think they had like $70 million under the cap last year, and now they're over $8 million. So and they got to sign Josh Allen too. That's going to be a big contract as well.
Yeah,
but,
no kidding.
I would think John Brown and Mitch Morse will be the ones that'll be cut.
Ian Castleberry with the Wise Guys. Ian, finally, buddy, before we let you go, Jameis Winston, if Drew Brees retires, and that decision in that announcement should be coming next week, Sean Payton says Jameis Winston's in the mix to take over at QB. If any coach can bring maybe Jameis Winston back, it can be Sean Payton. If no Drew Brees, how do the Saints look next year?
I think they still, if they do bring back Jameis Winston, I think they're in good shape. I'm still not a believer in Taysom Hill. Maybe I'm just in denial about that, but I don't feel like he's a 16-game starting quarterback. I think he is sort of a utility guy. He is effective in places the way Sean Payton uses him. But if there was a situation that I would say would be best for Jameis Winston, cut down on those turnovers, take advantage of his skills, I think the New Orleans would be in really good shape if they had Jameis Winston as their starting quarterback next season.
Man, we will see where it goes. Ian Castleberry, you're the best, buddy. Appreciate you, and enjoy the big game, and we'll catch up.
Okay, yeah, very excited. And I heard you guys Old Man TV discussion earlier. I would just say that one of the first things I watched when I signed up for Peacock was the Rockford Files.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, man.
Great show. Show.
I used to watch that in Quincy back to back.
Quincy, now there's a great show, too.
Sam.
Quincy. Wow.
It's murder. All right. Wow.
Not if you knew what you were doing.
God, if only Kathleen could hear this. She calls it Old Man TV. which, there may be something to that. Always appreciate you, lad. Be well, Ian.
All right, take care, guys. Thanks.
You too, Ian. Thanks, man. That's Ian Castleberry with the Wise Guys. And Ian's appearance talking NFL Gold Nuggets presented by David Creasman and DC Creasman Jewelers.